What in the world is going on here? Apparently, a news reporter over at the BBC is under fire for being a reptile, a demon. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about this across social media. Reading this article from the New York Post, BBC anchor faces backlash after hissing when musician DC3 names Jesus Christ as his hero. Let's go ahead and play the clip for context.
And just quickly, who are your heroes?
My heroes are Santan Dave, Kendrick Lamar, most of all Jesus Christ.
Oh, well, it's lovely to meet you, Daniel Chenjerai, DC3, as you are better known. Thank you very much.
That news reporter was Geeta Guru Murthy, and after people heard this, she is facing a lot of backlash on social media, to the point that people are making memes, and you even have people who are saying they are atheists, yet upon hearing this really bothered them. Now, upon being dragged through the internet by the religious and atheists, she came out and gave a statement claiming she was merely doing her job, quoted as saying, "I've seen there's been some discussion about the end of my interview with DC3 this week. For the record, I was simply breathing in before moving to the end of the interview." So she wrote this on X. Let's go ahead and see if anybody is supporting the fact that she was just breathing in. This person with the most likes says, "Yeah, I just watched around 20 of your interview clips and haven't heard the demonic hiss one time. If you link even one clip showing otherwise, I will retract this statement and apologize. I rebuke you." There's also the fact that her X post is being heavily ratioed, 125,000 views at the time of this recording, and only 255 likes. So not a lot of people are buying what she's saying. Now, I don't know if there's another video clip of her making the same exact noise as she continues to speak, but oddly enough, we have seen a news reporter on air hissing before.
We'll be exporting chicken to the Chinese.
Can we buy a Chinese firm?
No, not right now.
Then why should they buy one of ours?
Why not?
Because we can't buy one of theirs. Open up the market.
Very,
Quid
very
pro
well.
quo,
Yes,
Clarice.
we have capitalism and we embrace it, and they
And they don't, Clarice.
We have capitalism and we embrace it.
The excuse here was that he was referencing Silence of the Lambs. After Hannibal Lecter says quid pro quo, he hisses. So I went back to watch that scene, and yeah, he does no such thing.
Quid pro quo. I tell you things, you tell me things. Not about this case, though. About yourself. Quid pro quo. Yes or no? Yes or no, Clarice?
Hannibal Lecter may hiss in another scene, but it's just weird. I'm just going to go ahead and use one more example because apparently there's a lot of them. But people found this clip of Nina Brzezinski to be weird too. They said you can hear her hissing, but her appearance starts to change. And while it may be a glitch, the crew, their reaction is kind of telling.
It appears Britney is suffering from a major psychological disorder, and that it might actually be bipolar. Could be that. The doc then predicts how much longer they'll live. Sick, I know, but I also know you want to hear what she has to say. The doc says if these people don't get help or straighten up fast, I haven't pre-read any of this. Britney won't make it to the age 30, Lindsay won't see 25, and Michael Jackson has no more than 5 years left. At the other end, Angelina's going to have a long, healthy life, and so will George Bush and Nicole Richie.
If you're not already bipolar,
I hear yelling in the booth. Are they yelling at me for the way I read that?
You did great.
Okay.
But if you're not,
Excuse me.
I could hear Lisa yelling.
Give her a break. She didn't read it earlier. She doesn't know the story. It's okay. Just stop it. She's okay.
I could hear you.
Yeah.
I heard you.
but if you weren't already crazy, wouldn't you be made crazy by being called bipolar? And I think that would just feed on itself.
The whole thing.
I think
The doc then predicts how much longer they'll live. Sick, I know, but the doc then predicts how much longer they'll live. Sick, I know, but
the doc then predicts how much longer they'll live. Sick, I know.
But moving on, but still talking about something odd going on with people. People are talking about the French president Macron because he had something going on with his eye, something we have seen time and time again.
Responsabilité particulière, car ce territoire appartient à l'Union européenne, car ce territoire est aussi celui d'un de nos alliés de l'OTAN.
Then after people start to notice his red eye, a day later or a couple days later, the next time he's seen on camera, he just starts wearing sunglasses. People are saying that his partner hit him in the eye or something along those lines. But again, this is something we have seen time and time again. We have seen it with Queen Elizabeth, Prince Philip, King Charles. Even with that whack job that's supposedly one of the leaders of the World Economic Forum, the Nestle man, we have seen it with Biden, Mike Pence, the list goes on. If they don't have a red eye, then a lot of these people have a mysterious bruise around their eye. But talking about truth in plain sight, there was a TV show back in the 1980s called V that had to do about these reptoids taking over humanity disguised as humans. They were in positions of power and things like that. But just take a look at the eye. Take a look at the red eye. Can't make this up whatsoever. As we all know, Hollywood loves to give us the truth, but then they go ahead and disguise it as fiction. This next creepy video comes from the Paranormal Chick.
Going on in the skies of California. The next two videos are going to make you really question that. And these are from two very different witnesses who captured something odd in the sky. Is it a rocket breaking apart? Or is it maybe CERN trying to open a portal? We'll never know. But take a look, comment below, let us know what you think.
I am sure it's just SpaceX, and of course I'm being sarcastic, but a lot of people are saying this could be some kind of angel. I mean, we see these orange orbs coming out of it, and we've been seeing a lot of these orange orbs lately. This could also be some kind of plasma or plasmoid. This next creepy video actually comes straight from a news agency, The Sun, where they're going to say that a ghost caught on camera walking through traffic. So I wanted to do a little bit more research on this video clip and come to find out this came from the Philippines all the way back in 2018. Why is The Sun reporting on this now? The official explanation is that it was some sort of camera anomaly. It's just a glitch, bro. Do I think it's a ghost? More than likely not. If anything, if it's something paranormal, it could be a shadow person, a shadow entity. It's an interesting video with no conclusive answer if you look it up, but I'm surprised The Sun is reporting on this video clip now. This next creepy video comes from Mr. MBB333.
Guys, you're going to see something very bizarre in this video that was shared with me by Ian Chandler out of rural London, England. We're going to get right to it. Here we go. You're looking at a fox in his backyard that was picked up by his motion-activated security camera. He sets out food and water for this fox that comes around every once in a while, and this was one of those nights that it came around at 1:01 in the morning. And he's standing back here minding his own business, eating the food, drinking the water, when all of a sudden you can see he's noticing something over here by the fence. So he walks over to the fence, starts kind of looking around, smelling around. This is the fence right here that I've inserted. I'll show it to you again. That's the fence in the daytime. Did you see what happened? The fox disappeared, walked right through the fence. The time sequence did not change. This video has not been altered in any way. Watch it again up close. Okay, he's standing there eating, minding his own business, when all of a sudden he notices something. He's drawn to the fence. So he walks over to the fence, stops. Something has him very drawn to the fence. Then all of a sudden, he just walks right through the fence. Are you serious right now? You can't make this stuff up. With all of the billions of cameras around the world that are recording 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they're bound to catch something mysterious like this, because we do live in a spiritual, energetic world, and every once in a while it's bound to happen that something unexplainable is going to be captured on camera. And I think this was one of those times by Ian out of rural London, England. And as you can see, there's no broken parts to this fence whatsoever. It's in pristine condition, but somehow on this night the fox walked right through the fence. Make that make sense. Truth is indeed stranger than fiction.
Something Mr. MBB333 said that really stood out to me was the fact of the cameras. If you're a person that really believes the paranormal is real like I do because it's been a lived experience, then you're going to come to that realization that eventually with all these cameras everywhere constantly monitoring us because we do live in a dystopian society, that one day something strange will be picked up on one of these cameras. But when something strange is picked up on one of these cameras, they already gave us the perfect excuse, and that excuse is that it's just AI. When it comes to this fox here, we have heard stories time and time again throughout history of people just suddenly vanishing, disappearing in thin air. It had even gotten to the point that people believe that people could honestly glitch out of reality and end up in what I believe is called the yellow rooms or the back rooms, something along those lines. Now, I'm not saying this fox did indeed glitch out of reality, but what's the other excuse besides the camera having some sort of glitch itself, which I tried playing back and forth and I really can't see. I mean, you can really see the fox going through the fence.
Streamer called Chicken Andy on Kick witnessed a UFO live on live stream, mate. This is kind of funky. Check this out.
What the f is that? What the absolute f am I looking at right now? What the hell? Holy shit.
Are you okay?
No, dude. What is that, chat?
Let me go to your stream.
What the f? Oh my god, I think it's the end. I think it's the end. I've never seen that in my life. Oh my god. What, bro, what the f is that?
Oh my gosh.
What? I don't know. They're too far apart to be planes. Oh my god. Dude, Chet, I think those are aliens. Why are they like that? Like, they would never, no plane would be lined like that, like one higher than the...
Doritos are coming back, ladies and gentlemen, right? So these weird sightings are happening more and more again, and they're peaking around this time period now. Much like last year, the beginning of last year, we had so many of these formations being seen. Oh.
That video came from the Interstellar discussion, and it looks like that individual on live caught a TR-3B.
Y'all have got to see this one. This guy on Reddit is an urban explorer that explores abandoned places in Japan. He has all kinds of really cool posts on his page, but this one is of an abandoned school in Japan. But in this particular post, it's different than every other post he has. All these photos behind me are of this school. It almost looks like it was just frozen in time. And here and there you can see where it's abandoned. If these photos aren't eerie enough, right here is where he got freaked out. Because out of all the posts he's ever made, this is the first time he's ever captured anything paranormal. Took a photo of this classroom in this hall, and at the end of the hall there is a figure. And when you zoom in on it, it looks like a child holding books or something, just in grayscale. Now, the OP said that he doesn't believe in the paranormal. He doesn't believe in ghosts until this particular exploration. And out of all of his posts on Reddit, this is the only one that he's captured something like this, and he hasn't since.
That video came from Whoa, That's Strange, and I was wondering if this school was abandoned, why were all those book bags, shoes, computers all left out and about? And apparently, this was a school that was abandoned due to the Fukushima disaster back in 2011, where everybody inside the school just instantly fled. Many students and teachers did pass away inside schools due to this incident. Now, I don't know if this is one of those schools, but maybe he did capture lingering energy.
Of quite a high-profile bank. And what's this they have through the window? Is that their, like, original safe? This is the back of the Rothschild Bank. Is that their original safe? I'm not sure. It's a funny one. Look at that. Maybe home to the family jewels.
This eerily reminds me of the ending of Hellraiser 3 when the box is discovered under a construction site and they build this entire bank to be designed after the box. I mean, whatever's in there just gives off a very demonic vibe, and I would never open that thing up.
This is the most eerie thing I've heard of in a very long time. On August 14th, 2005, a commercial airplane took off from Cyprus, and no one on board knew that they were already in danger. Helios Airways Flight 522 was scheduled to fly to Prague with a stop in Athens, but shortly after takeoff, something went terribly wrong. During maintenance the night before, a crucial switch controlling cabin pressurization was accidentally left in manual mode. So on the day of the flight, and as the plane climbed, oxygen levels began dropping very slowly. Inside the cockpit, warning alarms did begin to sound, but the alarm used the same tone as another warning that pilots are trained to recognize. So the crew misidentified the problem, which would be a fatal mistake. As the aircraft continued climbing, the pilots and passengers began to suffer from oxygen deprivation, otherwise known as hypoxia. Symptoms of hypoxia include confusion, loss of consciousness, and eventually death. And over the next few hours, everyone on the plane would pass out one by one. But the plane continued flying on autopilot, following its programmed route. As air traffic control tried desperately to reach the crew, they received no response. So Greek fighter jets were sent to try to intercept the plane, but as they did, they saw a haunting scene inside. All of the passengers slumped over in their seats with oxygen masks hanging above them, and everyone in the cockpit perfectly still. A flight attendant who had pilot training would briefly regain consciousness, and in a final act of bravery, he entered the cockpit to try to make an emergency landing. He was able to turn the plane toward the south, which is believed to be a heroic last effort to guide the falling plane away from Greece's capital city, potentially saving hundreds or thousands of people. But sadly, the flight attendant would lose consciousness again as the plane ran out of fuel and crashed into a hillside near Athens, killing all 121 people on board.
That video came from Oddities on Elm Street, and that story will never not creep me out. Everybody on this flight was doomed due to a button, a switch that would have corrected the pressurization on this plane. This is what I mean when I say the smallest thing going wrong on a plane can just lead to total disaster.
So if you didn't know, the Wayfair conspiracy started in 2020 when people noticed something really strange on Wayfair's website. There were basic items like cabinets and pillows listed for thousands of dollars, but the weirdest part, many of these items had human names, not product names. Internet users began comparing those names to missing children databases, and some of the names matched. That's when the theory exploded. People were saying that these overpriced items weren't furniture at all, but coded listings for human raffles, we'll say raffles, where the buyer would receive a child instead of a product. But Wayfair denied everything, saying the prices were due to industrial grade items and naming conventions from suppliers. Law enforcement also said there was no evidence. But that's what you would say if you were in on it. But the mystery stuck. Why the extreme prices? Why the names? And why did listings disappear after people noticed? To this day, some believe it was a coincidence. Others think it was a mistake that exposed something far darker. And that makes me wonder, what does Wayfair actually do? Stay weird.
That video came from Beyond Weird, and for the most part, I feel like we moved on way too fast from the Wayfair incident. Looking into this further and doing research in the past and other videos, what they were selling was only worth hundreds of dollars, not the thousands of dollars they were claiming. Yeah, law enforcement said there was nothing to see here, but at the end of the day, do we trust law enforcement given the fact they are the Brotherhood? They are the free people. This next creepy video comes from Kyle Mystery News, and he asked a very good question.
When's the last time somebody spontaneously combusted? Because it's been at least 20 years since I heard a story about somebody spontaneously combusting. I don't really think that was a thing. I think spontaneous combustion was like an insurance scam. Like you just had your husband go hide for like a year, and you're like, oh yeah, he spontaneously combusted in his chair. And then they just threw somebody else's, like, some bones on there. And they're like, yeah, he spontaneously combusted. And there's no evidence because it gets so hot. It gets so hot that everything fries and you can't tell if it's him or not. And I'm like, wait a minute. So they spontaneously combust from the inside out. And then you can't tell who it is because it gets so hot that there's like a chemical reaction that there's no evidence. I'm sorry, but that's like an insurance scam. I'm pretty sure that they started cracking down on spontaneous combustion like 20 years ago. All the insurance companies like, you know what? We're not going to cover like the burning old guys anymore. You know, the spontaneously combusted. We're not going to do that anymore. That's just too much of a liability.
I remember as a kid, this used to scare the daylights out of me, thinking that I could just randomly explode, catch fire, and wouldn't be identifiable. But it's true, when was the last time we heard of spontaneous combustion? The only thing that ever came close to that was back in 2017, and that was just a guess. I do think some stories are designed to keep us in a constant state of fear, even from when we're really young, which is really a lot for me to say, given the fact that I have 3 horror channels.
With someone you love, care, and respect, and I'm curious to know your thoughts in the comments section. Why are they hiding this history?
This was a few years after the initial expedition. And so the Smithsonian Institute went in there and, my goodness, took all kinds of pictures. And instead of going on down the river, they actually hiked up to the top of the rim and went overland from there to map that out. Okay, that's part of the unknown history of the early expeditions of the Grand Canyon. So we fast forward from the 1870s, when this information became public. It was kind of, the end of the 1800s, early 1900s. The world goes to war, right? We have the Great War. At the conclusion of the Great War, a guy named G.E. Kincaid, who is an employee of the Smithsonian Institute, he's survives the Great War, comes in, and he's funded by Smithsonian to go back in and look for that lost cavern system. So Kincaid does that, goes in under the disguise of mineral exploration, prospecting, okay, and he locates the exact same Powell Cave, goes in with his photography equipment and brings out a massive amount of precious metal artifacts. Comes up over the top. He's so excited about what he's found, he makes a press release, and the local newspapers all front page headlines: amazing find in the Grand Canyon. News articles on my blog, which was all from, again, the Smithsonian Institute. Well, my blog was shut down and erased, actually, in December of 2019, okay? But that particular blog post, Terry, got tens of thousands of hits. It was a lightning rod. A lot of people, oh, wow, this is fantastic information, Doc. I just post them. So the question that people ask me is, where'd you get these pictures? Well, I had he's now deceased, so I can talk about him now. A friend named Dr. Melvin Laney in Washington, D.C. had high-level security clearance, and he had full unfettered access to the Smithsonian's archives. He sent me this information tied into what I'm working in the property here in Utah. Now, another story for another time, but it tied in, most definitely ties in, this story of G.E. Kincaid and the amazing discoveries at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. PowerPoint presentation to people who want to come and see this. I think it's interesting.
Smithsonian says now that never did happen, but you got into the actual archives. You got actual documentation.
It's an amazing, jaw-dropping story. Let me just give you some hints of what we're going to be showing. Massive amounts of mummies. And the big thing is, Terry, is there were thousands and thousands of panels of Egyptian hieroglyphics that have been interpreted. And what it tells the story of should rewrite all the world's history, frankly. Because it's none other than the biblical Joseph of Egypt and his history.
Wow.
Yeah, big time wow. It's exciting. Well, even religionists are saying, well, that's a real stretch. Well, why? It proves the Bible and the story in Genesis of Joseph to be true. The coat of many colors being sold into Egypt. It answers the question, really. It was more than just a deal with Potiphar's wife that elevated Joseph to be the most powerful vizier, and second only to the Pharaoh himself. It tells the story of how he ascended to, and why he was able to bring all the grains and survive the famines that went on. It's all in the history of this cave in the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
The Grand Canyon is very similar to Antarctica in the way that if it were to get out, if information were to get out what's truly inside these locations, it would put the world on its head. There is a reason these locations are just so banned off from the public. The lies are just so telling when we see places that are just so barricaded. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.